Welcome to Guzzler.
Hello and welcome to Guzzler. Let me start again. That was already bad.
Guzzler podcast.
Hello and welcome to Guzzler. Today you are joined by myself and we're here with Alfie and Declan. And today we're going to be talking about, recapping the year. It's going to be a mental podcast. How are we, gentlemen?
Yeah, good, mate.
Good. Did you have a nice Christmas, lads?
Alright.
Declan?
Yeah.
We're all in tier 4 now. Good to say, we're all in tier 4. So it's tier 4 club. Declan, you drink anything this morning?
Coffee.
Nice. Alfie?
Yeah, I got coffee, mate. I got some
Coffee as well. I've got Baileys
a
in
bit
my
of
coffee.
Baileys in it. Yeah, mate.
Yeah, a little bit of Baileys. I felt like to keep on the alcohol train for the podcast, but I do have some Baileys coffee, which is very nice. Right then, getting straight into it. This year was a mental year, and I didn't realise there was actually this much stuff happened. I was going to give you a few teasers of what happened, but we're just going to go straight in with it.
Jesus.
In January,
I was here, mate.
we had the Australian bushfires. Well, actually, it's best to say actually that last year, New Year's Eve, us and the rest of our friends, we were all together. We had like a 1920s party to set us off into the 20s in a very good way. It was all very positive and very happy. A couple of days later, it all went downhill. So there was the Australian bushfires. 46 million acres just burnt. Do you remember that?
Yeah. A lot of Australia's like quite empty, though, isn't it?
It's fine, isn't it?
You might as well just
Doesn't
burn it
matter.
to the ground. See animals and shit,
that's
innit?
it. Yeah, a lot of animals died. It said that the bushfires didn't get put out till March, which is a long period of time. It's just head on.
They
earth,
couldn't find the right
absolute destruction. That's it. Just pat it out with their foot. We had Megxit as well, which was put in the Oxford English Dictionary. Megxit.
Yeah, that's
Remember what
weird,
Megxit
isn't it?
was?
That's freaking dumb.
Yeah.
There's
People
Harry
need
and
to grow
Meghan.
up.
Yeah. Opinions on Megxit?
I literally could not care less.
Declan?
And I normally always go all in with an opinion on these podcasts, but I do not give a shit.
Fine. Well,
Sorry, Louis.
I'll
pick a stance. What's your stance?
No, to be fair, I'm fine with them leaving. The thing that annoys me most is that they left because they wanted to be out of the limelight and live a private life, and now they've got a podcast where they talk about their life all the time, and then just like show Archie around
fair,
Hollywood Boulevard, just holding him out like.
We've got a
taking photos of my
podcast,
baby.
mate, and I feel pretty out the limelight.
Yeah, but yeah, I can't imagine they've got like 15 listeners though. And then it's like walk around with their baby in Hollywood Boulevard, like someone take a picture of my baby, like.
No,
Why would you do that?
there's no way
They've
that's
got to
true.
make money somehow.
Exactly, yeah.
They're busking with the child.
Yeah, they are. That's what it looks like. So that's the only thing that annoys me. I'm like, if you want to leave, just be like, you're off, mate. Don't advertise it as something and do the opposite. That's my opinion, mate. Do you remember when the Ukraine plane was shot? That Ukraine plane, rhyme in there, was shot down by Iran?
Russia? Oh, I thought it was Russia.
Yeah, it was like, same it.
Remember
and
it well,
176 passengers died. And he said that they didn't. Your face, Declan. Yeah, Iran and Russia, the same place, mate. They denied it, and then 3 days later they was like, "Yeah, we did kill all 176 passengers on that plane," which is pretty mental. Kobe and Gianna, what's that name? I don't know. She died. They both died in a helicopter crash as well.
That was pretty bad.
We left the EU on January 31st, and there was a lot of World War III memes as well. Because obviously the whole Iran thing, Trump was just like, getting us off to a bad start. He was arguing, and that was all that happened in January. That's quite a mad month.
I think we thought that was as bad as it was going to get as well.
Yeah, exactly. We thought World War III. Oh, this is it. We've peaked here. Kobe's died. World War III bushfires. Can't get any worse than this. Mad.
Well, I don't know. My shit month started with New Year's because my New Year's kiss was you, Louis, and you were incredibly aggressive. I've never...
Maybe.
He's a very
had a
aggressive
son like
kisser.
that. You went after, like, my tonsils with your teeth.
I dropped my money down your throat, so I had to get it back.
Right. With what? Your entire mouth?
With my tonsils.
Yeah, right.
So, as I just mentioned, we left the EU on January 31st. And obviously Boris promised us an oven-ready deal and everything like that. And for the last 5 years, we've been leaving the EU. And just recently, we've got a deal, which we didn't think we was going to get. And there was a big bit of me that sort of hoped we didn't get a deal. So then everyone who voted leave, I could just be like, "You done this?" Oops.
I mean, we already didn't get anything good, so I'm sure.
No, we didn't get anything good.
I'm still going to read it. I'm going to go read the deal because obviously I study business and it would be quite interesting to see what they're doing.
But one of the things that they said was because the EU wanted to keep the fishing deal for like 15 years, but Boris said we can have it for 3 years. I think they extended it to 5 years, but they're allowed to take 25% more than they have been for the last like 30 years for the next 5 years. So technically they're getting like something like 8 or 9 years worth of fish, but just in a 5-year period, which is like.
I think
like, he's advertised it as 5 years, but actually it's not.
What they should have done, they should have negotiated a deal, but it was just the exact same as we had before, and they just say to the British public, "We've left," and they just carry on as they were, because the people that voted for Brexit didn't have a fucking clue what the EU did anyway. Let's be honest.
No, they didn't.
They had no idea what they did or what we did. They should have just said we've left. Everyone says we left and just carried on as we were with trade and stuff. They don't know how we trade with the EU.
I think it should have defaulted to WTO rules anyway. So what would have happened if we didn't find a deal with the EU? It would have defaulted to the World Trade Organization, and they have a set of rules that countries have to abide by when they trade. So like, say if we want to trade with Taiwan, if we don't have a trade deal, it defaults to WTO rules. So certain tariffs and shit come out. If we didn't have a deal with the EU, it would have defaulted to the WTO and they would have sorted it out. So I don't know why we just didn't do that and it would have made a fair deal for both sides. I'm so confused about it.
Is it true that the money we spent leaving the EU in the last like 4 or 5 years is more money than we've spent in the EU for the last like 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tons, loads of money.
That's mad, isn't it? Because a lot of people.
Well, actually, we surpassed it last year. We've gone like way above and beyond. Yeah.
The thing is that when Brexit was advertised by like Farage and stuff, and it basically they put all the meanings in it, but it was basically like foreigners, and we've paid a lot of money, but we've ended up paying more money, and the foreigners. I'm putting this. You can't see me, but I'm putting this in like air speech marks. The foreigner thing, like, we've forgot about that now. Like, not as if anything was going to happen. I think a lot of people who voted Brexit was like, foreigners going to leave the country, we're going to kick them out, which was not at all what was going to happen. But a lot of people who didn't read into it, like you said, Alfie, just thought foreigners and we spend a lot of money. We've spent more money now, and foreigners, they have every right to be in this country anyway. So
yeah,
as
exactly.
we was when we go to France and we're called expats.
Yeah, exactly. Because we just go retire and it's all lovely and nice and weird, isn't it?
So in February,
yes, mate.
there was quite a lot of media-related things that happened. Not all bad things either. So Parasite won at the Oscars. It won 4 Oscars. It won Best Film, Best Screenplay, Best International Film, and Best Director for Bong Joon-ho. And
Good
then
film.
Joker had the most nominations with 11 nominations. What was the best film you saw this year, guys?
See, when you asked us that earlier, I panicked because I couldn't think of one off by heart. So I was scrolling through Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm not going to lie, I don't think there's been a lot of big films released this year, which I understand because all of the cinema's shut and everything like that. So a lot of the massive Hollywood films that you'd expect to have on a list like that weren't released. Like Black Widow wasn't released, that's been pushed back. We're still waiting for other stuff. The one thing that I've genuinely properly enjoyed was Borat, that come out.
I haven't seen it.
Bad Boys for Life come out at the start of the year.
That's the thing that I was going to say, that when I looked through my list of films, all the ones that I enjoyed was like January, because since then there hasn't been anything that's like
blockbuster. But Gentleman come out. The Gentleman
I thought was Guy Ritchie's one of my favourite directors. Gentleman was great.
And I haven't seen that yet, and I haven't seen Soul either. A lot of people are saying that's really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen Soul. I'm watching that today. But yeah, Gentleman was fantastic. Guy Ritchie's, I think it's genius. I think that's amazing. I wrote down a couple that I've seen and really enjoyed. Jojo Rabbit was one of them. I love Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, that was incredible.
The emotion and the laughter and everything, it was great. 1917 was a phenomenal bit of cinema.
Yeah.
I wrote down The Gentleman. And I wrote down more recently, although this made hardly any money because it wasn't. I don't think it was even in cinemas in America. Was Tenet. I don't really like Christopher Nolan, and for the first half of Tenet, I absolutely hated it. But the last half made up for the first half entirely, and I thought it was a great film. Alfie, what about you?
I don't know what came out this year, mate. To be honest with you.
Parasite as well.
Parasite was really, really good. I love Parasite.
Yeah.
It's the only film I think I've seen that came out this year, to be honest with you, and it was really good.
Do either of you know then, from looking at the films we just named, what the top grossing film of the year was?
Was it something made in 2019?
Nope.
Was it not?
Nope. But I will say that the film that was top grossing, on a regular year, this probably wouldn't even be in the top 100 list because of how little money it did actually make.
Wow.
But because of the year we've had, it was the top grossing.
What was it?
It was Bad Boys for Life.
Wow.
It made 204
good
million,
film.
which isn't much at all in comparison to like most big films.
That's crazy.
And Tenet, which is obviously a massive film and probably would have been in the top 5 of the year, only made 52 million, which is like pennies, really.
Just found a nail in my bed.
You found a nail in there?
Yeah, it's under my foot.
Girlfriend's trying to kill you, mate.
I thought that's a bit sharp. There's a nail in my bed.
Someone's trying to do you over there, mate.
Sabotage.
Do we know what the biggest selling songs of the year were?
Wow.
It wasn't actually. I thought it would be up there, but it wasn't.
No, honestly, mate, I
Do you
don't
know?
know any music. I have no idea what
Haven't the foggiest.
I don't listen to
It
popular
was
music.
Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
Ah, that makes
Really?
sense. To be fair. That
I
does
hate
make
that
sense.
song.
And the biggest selling album? Anyone
It
fathom, I guess?
is one.
In America, it was Folklore, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But in this country, it was Lewis Capaldi with Divinely Uninspired to a Hellish Extent, which I think actually came out in 2019.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it feels like it's been out for ages.
Yeah, but it was still the biggest selling album in 2020. And Fine Line by Harry Styles was second, and that also came out in 2019.
I didn't realise that.
That was
Billie
a good
Eilish was
album.
number 3, and that also came out in 2019.
Wow.
There you go. Do you remember, or do you know what the biggest shows of the year were?
Shows?
Either on TV or on Netflix?
Oh.
Normal
Tiger King?
Normal People was big.
Normal People was in the top 5 yet.
Tiger King on there.
Anyone else? Tiger King was number 1. My stream show. of
Gotta
the
be
year.
in it, bro.
Gotta be.
There
There was also
The Boys on there?
The Boys is on there. That's number 2.
It's on my list.
There was also The Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third Day with Jude Lauren.
Yeah,
Did you watch
yeah.
Third Day?
I've seen the
Yeah.
clips on Gogglebox. I haven't seen the show.
Yeah, same. It looked absolutely.
It looked mental, mate.
Crazy.
Mental.
The second episode of Third Day was like this. It was on for 10 hours. You could
Yeah,
stream
they're like
online.
live.
It was
That
like,
looked weird.
it was alive, wasn't it? For 10 hours. It's absolutely crazy. Queen's Gambit on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Very good.
Lucy's watched that.
Is it good? I've heard all these
I've-
great things. It's really good, but I just
It is so good, and I'm really attracted to the lead.
She's a bit weird looking, isn't she? She's a bit like anime in real life.
yeah.
Yeah.
I used to play chess a lot when I was younger, and I didn't think the idea of a chess TV series would be very good. But apparently, the biggest Christmas present this year was a chess set.
Yeah, I
because
saw
everyone loved
that.
the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, really good.
Another one was The Mandalorian, obvious reasons. I May Destroy You. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
And Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh yeah, I've watched that. I've seen all that. It's good.
Oh, that's always going to be big, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be
Good
yeah.
show.
Yeah, there we go. Also, then in February we had Love Is Blind, which was a Netflix series.
Yeah, it's garbage.
I didn't see it myself, but this was where they was locked in different rooms, wasn't it?
Absolute
and
trash,
they met to
mate.
meet someone.
Yeah.
To marry him.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy thing. Caroline Flack died as well in February, which seems about
Jesus.
years ago.
Yeah.
It does seem absolutely years ago. Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to prison. He was sentenced to 23 years. However, not really justice, is it, when they've been fighting for it for well, I mean, it's justice in some sense, but they've been fighting for it for years and years. And he's 23 years. Apparently he's really ill as well at the moment in hospital, not in hospital, sorry, but in prison, because they think he might have COVID.
Big shame.
Also in February, when I was working at a school, this was where they started talking about COVID, and they said that if you've been to Italy recently, you would have to quarantine for 2 weeks. You'd have to leave, and this was like, I was sitting there being like, this is crazy, this is. And Italy went into lockdown, and I thought, this is absolutely mad. Imagine us going into lockdown.
There you go.
Here we are.
Boom.
Here we are. That's the first sort of time I heard of it. like properly heard of it. This is when I thought this is getting serious now. When did you think that it was getting like big?
When I thought schools were going to shut, because that was before lockdown. Because I was doing a placement at sixth form, and I was like watching the news quite intently because I thought it might get cancelled. And then my teacher at the school said that his son was like really vulnerable, and he said he was going to move on to online teaching. So then, as soon as that was cancelled, something had affected me, and I was like, okay, shit. And I think that was like a week before we went into lockdown.
Yeah, my school shut. About a week before we went into lockdown. Yeah, and then in March, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were like the first like major celebrities to come out and say they got COVID. And I remember seeing it on the news, and people didn't know that what effect COVID would have at the time. And they said we're going to have to do like a diary every day to like show you what's happening to us, and that was a big talking point that people thought that we might not have Tom Hanks anymore. That was a big thing. And then Vanessa Hudgens put out that video. Do you remember this?
Oh, I do kind of actually. Remind me, but I definitely do.
She's put out a video saying about why everyone was complaining about COVID. She said, "What's the big deal?"
Yeah.
But about the definite for that, and everyone just like went on and was like, "Are you being serious?" And then she had to put out an apology. But as I was looking at it this morning, I thought, now, I wonder if she's thinking now, going, "Whoa, I messed up there at the beginning because this is a major thing."
Is that being a celebrity doesn't seem that. Like, what did she think was going to happen with that? How did she think that was a good idea?
Yeah.
From like a publicity what was the good scenario there?
Because she's got the millions of followers that she has, but it's not going to stay there. People share it. It was on the news. Like everyone knew about this story. I don't follow Vanessa Hudgens, but we all knew this story.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Tiger King came out in March as well, which does seem like an absolute age ago. That was mental when that came out. I know we spoke about that a lot in the past. And then more recently, Carole Baskin has been on Dancing with the Stars in America, which is
she was on Big Fat Quiz of the Year. That was weird enough.
Yeah, that was really weird.
I think
that was really weird.
Tiger King is very overrated. I think it's one of the most overrated things I've ever seen. I'm going to throw that out there.
Still haven't seen it.
I've seen it like a few
times. I don't
times.
think it's that good.
I don't think it's hilarious because I remember seeing it on Netflix when it first came out, like being advertised, and I just thought, what is that show? That seems mad. And I kept seeing these memes, and I thought, I'll just try it out. And I really wasn't prepared at all for what had happened. Like everything happens in that show. I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was crazy.
I think it could have been a really good 4-hour show, like a mental 4 hours.
Yeah, fine.
I just think it's a bit dragged out. Also, I think Carole Baskin is just a woman, but because everyone because Joe Exotic's so mental and everyone loves him just because he's so outlandish and extravagant. There's conspiracy. They think she's a murderer and she's evil and she's scum. I think she is literally just a woman. Controversial
maybe
opinion.
so. But I did like what Jimmy Carr said actually on Big Fat Quiz the other day. He said the difference between a zoo and a sanctuary is how you signpost it. Because
don't get me wrong, I do agree with that.
Worst cages. Yeah, I think the reason it was so popular was because this was in proper lockdown, wasn't it? Where everyone was staying in their homes. A lot of people couldn't leave for 2 weeks because they were quarantined, and that show was just like a mental escapism.
Oh yeah, it's just to talk about.
I know a lot of people binge watched it, but we watched one every night. So for about 7 or 8 nights.
Yeah, we watched one every night.
Yeah, this thing where it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Also in March we had the Pentagon. They released some videos of UFOs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you remember this, Declan?
I do, yeah. Twitter went mental, and I didn't know what was going on. And then by the time I'd fished through everyone's comments, turns out aliens exist. So,
But the weird thing about that was that Twitter went mental, but it went mental for about a day, and after that, everyone was just forgot about it. It was just they confirmed basically that aliens exist, and everyone was like, Carole Baskin though, and it was.
To be fair though, I'm pretty sure those videos have been out for ages anyway. I'd definitely seen them before. They just confirmed that they were a real thing and that they'd investigated them or whatever.
There was Trump's impeachment, which didn't really go anywhere. It didn't get a quick.
I feel like most people knew it wasn't going to go anywhere though, other than Twitter, because Twitter's an idiot.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that impeachment means nothing really. It's just like a legal formalism, which is. I guess it's a thing. It'll go on his record, but I mean, he's already got enough on his record as the worst president ever. It doesn't really matter, does it? It's not he was really good, but he was
30 days'
impeached.
time, he's going to be locked up.
Exactly.
Which is, I'll get into it later when we talk about election, but the fact that he very much, he's got protection while he's in the White House, but in 30 days time he'll be sharing a cell next door to Ghislaine Maxwell, like, it's pretty mad. And as you said as well, in April, Normal People came out. I haven't seen Normal People.
Very, very good show. It's based off a book by Sally Rooney by the same name, and the book and the TV show are very, very similar. Like there's not a lot of dissimilarity between them.
I've only seen the sex bits.
It's just there are a lot of sex bits.
There are. I feel like I've seen the show.
The girl the girl is called her name is Daisy Edgar Jones, and the guy is, I can't remember his name. But they're both newcomer actors in the show. But the actors' names. But the actors are up and coming, and it was just incredible and heartbreaking and brilliant.
There was a Instagram account set called Connell's Chain, because even when he was naked in the show, he'd always wear the necklace, and he got millions of followers. Crazy stuff. Kim Jong-un, everyone thought was dead. Because he just sort of
it turned out he was playing a trick.
Yeah. Everyone thought he was dead because he wasn't about. Like, I haven't seen Rishi Sunak in like a week or so, but I'm not taking to Twitter being like, Rishi's dead. Like, that's.
Well, it was to see who would celebrate after he was dead, weren't it?
That's it, yeah.
Apparently, so
the people that didn't cry outside were just picked up and I assume killed. But that what's that to a dictator?
Some people do reckon he was like genuinely, properly ill though. And that, like, when he recovered, he was just like, prankster.
Yeah, so they brought a doctor over from China to sort him out. Could you imagine how nervous that doctor would have fucking felt going in if he'd have messed up, which he well could have if he was that ill, and just died? Oh God.
There's a film which came out 2 years ago, I think it was BAFTA nominated in one night, some Golden Globes and stuff. It was called Death of Stalin. It was a British film, like a lot of Yorkshire actors. Had like Paul Whitehouse in it. I can't even think now. But it's a funny film, and there's a bit in there where Stalin falls like dead, and they all go into the room, and they're like looking over him, and they're like, "Oh, go on, I'll pick him up or something." And they're all like terrified because they're like, "If he's not dead though, or if someone can see us doing this, we're gonna get in a lot of trouble." And they go to get like a doctor, but Stalin had killed all the major doctors because he thought that they were trying to kill him. So he just killed all the major doctors. So they had no good doctors in Russia at all, and they had to get like the worst of the worst, like men who had been retired for like 30 years, like 90-year-old doctors, like come in and like try and like sort him out, where they were like shaking, like it was mad. But like because, as you just said, like. Well, what is it to a dictator? Kill him.
Just a Thursday,
these doctors had to try and save it. Yeah. Ebola came back in April as well. It didn't seem like anything could get worse at this point. Like Ebola came back to North Africa. We had COVID. It was absolutely crazy. What do you remember all the stockpiling as well?
Oh yeah.
Like
in mental.
March time. All the
absolutely mental.
Yeah, when everyone was getting toilet roll and pasta and things like that. Crazy, absolutely crazy. What did you think, Declan, to like the first lockdown? What did you? You were still living at home then, wasn't you?
Yeah, so I kind of, because where I work, it was quite actively talked about, and they were saying that gyms were like the big spreading point and all this sort of shit, which we now know is the opposite of the actual consequence. But it was weird to see, because it almost went from one case in the UK to about 1,000 in the space of 8 days or something like that. And it was over them 8 days where I was like, it's one case. And then it was, there's 15 cases. There's 85. And then it was like 200-300, and then you hit 1,000 cases in a day in 8 days, and you're like, hold on, and then by March or end of March, you're like 10,000 people in the UK have got this, but they're only testing like 100 people a day. So what is going on?
Yeah, the testing was terrible.
And it snowballed.
And even now, they said that there's more people in hospital now than what there was back then. And our deaths are going up by 600 every day, which is more mad. And how they could possibly think this is under control? I mean, we are in another lockdown now, but if you go back, even 2 weeks ago, when there was the tier system wasn't there, and there was still 600 deaths a day, and they were like, well,
it's
which is crazy. We shut schools at 30 deaths or something.
I was gonna say, the thing me and you always talk about, though, is like when schools were first closing, and I was sat in front of the news like, shut the schools. It was like 21 deaths or something like that, and I think it went to like 60, and we were like, schools need to shut. And now it's like, I think recently it's been only like it's been like 350 deaths a day because it's Christmas season. But like, that's that's mental. And schools are meant to be opening next Monday.
2 days ago, 41,000 new cases, or over that, 41,360 some odd.
Yep.
Which was the highest new cases or daily new cases since this began.
Yep.
And we still intend to open schools and almost go back to daily life as kind of before lockdown.
Yeah, all the uni students are just going to go back to their bits of the country.
Yeah.
Schools open. What's the point?
I was reading this thing yesterday. It said about how it said we need to send kids back to school in order for them to get a life. But then someone said, but at the moment, we're not getting a life. If you postpone it for 8 weeks, they might be able to have a life. Because at the moment, we're not living, we're existing. And when I read that, I was like...
I think the main problem is you're making other people's sacrifices worthless. Like, Dex can't go to work or whatever because gyms are shut. Pubs and stuff have had to shut. Pubs had literally just sorted out food, a lot of them. They just got chefs and sorted out menus and stuff, and they had to shut again. A lot of people are sacrificing their livelihoods. The second schools go back, that's pointless. All these people are off work to no end. Nothing's going to happen because uni students are going back and schools are opening. They're sacrificing for nothing.
Yeah. It's crazy that soon it'll be a year later and people have missed their holidays, concerts, just going on day trips, seeing their family, like seeing people in people's homes and stuff like that. Or if you've got family, even 60 miles away, like people are sacrificing an awful lot, and it just seems that we're just sort of like plodding along. Just the
worst thing about that is that we've sacrificed so much and it's getting worse. Like you say a year on, but it's like we're still getting higher. Daily cases are still rising. Deaths are staying kind of stable. They're a bit inconsistent, but totals are rising. Where's it coming from? And what's the point of keep doing all this shit? Economy's getting butt fucked in a new kind of way. And we're not achieving anything.
This is what I was saying to Louis though. When we had the first lockdown, like things were bad, but we'd only just got into it. We thought this was going to be what we were doing, but like things were getting better. That's the main thing. In the first lockdown, numbers were going down after like sort of mid-April, whereas now nothing's getting better. We're still being asked to do all this stuff, but things are, like you said, Declan, things are getting worse.
It seems like around April, May time there was this light at the end of the tunnel. June was the first time in which, as a friendship group, we all got together again. I mean, there was a few more people there than should have been. I think there's 9 of us instead of 6. But we was at yours, Declan, for your birthday. July was at mine for my birthday. And in the summer, you went back to work, Declan, and we started to I went on like a few day trips. Like me and Tash went down to like Hampstead Heath, North London, and we just took a walk around Hampstead. In October time, I went to Southend for a weekend away. I know you, Alfie, went down to Cornwall. We was doing, and you went away as well, Declan, didn't you, to the coast? You stayed in the cottage. See, things were getting, there was like this light where people could see that things were returning back to normal. When I'm sitting here now thinking, when could I go on a day trip again? When can I go back to the pub? When there's none of that at the moment. An interesting story as well. Towards the start of the year, Jared Leto, he went away into this retreat, and he came out of the retreat, and he was like, when I went in, Kobe was still alive, and come out and everyone's in quarantine and can't leave their house. And it was like
it was a month-long retreat, and he come out and the world had literally changed.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, it's mental.
Another good story, which I like this story because how she thought that she was in the right. In April, Jess Glynn went into a restaurant called Sexy Fish, and she was wearing jogging bottoms. And everyone else, and they said, you can't come in. And she's like, why? And they're like, this is, our dress code is this. And she said it was discrimination. And I just love that. I think they have every right. There's a dress code. You can't, just because you're Jess Glynn, you can't just turn up wearing whatever you feel. There's a dress code. You need to abide to that dress code.
Yeah, fair enough.
In the same way that I'd hope that if Donald Trump or Boris Johnson turned up to that one and they were just in like, not as if I could ever imagine Boris in jogger bottoms or a hoodie, but if it just turned up, I hope they'd be like, no mate, sorry, dress code.
Fun fact about Boris, did you know he purposely scruffs his hair up in public?
I think that makes sense too.
So I heard So I heard a report from one of his old security members when he was London Mayor. And in his car, there is a mirror on the back of the seat and a comb. So as soon as he gets in his car, he brushes his hair, makes it perfect. And then just before he gets out, he scruffs his hair up and gets out the car.
It makes sense. I think it definitely sounds like it. It's the reason I always look so rough, so you all think that we're equal.
Exactly, yeah. In May, things got even weirder. So there was the whole George Floyd thing.
Yes, mate.
Which was obviously absolutely mad. May was a mad month. It was a very mad month. But the thing that obviously followed George Floyd was all the riots in America with the white supremacists, which Trump was basically saying, oh, you lot are doing fine. And then everyone who was trying to fight against this, he was called fascists, and they said they need locking up. And then he tear gassed them all, and he did that stunt where he was holding the Bible upside down outside that church after he'd walked through like riots of people and
tear gassed people to get him out of the way so he could go do a photo op.
And it was like something out of Black Mirror. It was something that was like from the film Escape from New York. It was this crazy thing. Like, how did that happen?
And then he went and hid in his bunker.
Yeah, and then he went in his bunker, exactly. And then this was a month as well. I mean, especially in this year where everything was going wrong with COVID and everything, where people sort of clubbed together and everyone sort of were fighting for one thing. When like the statues were pulled down, like the one of Edward Colson in Colton, even in where was that? Was it Bristol? Was it in Bristol? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Where it was pulled down, and it was sort of like a mark of unity among people. I was looking this morning. I didn't realise there was this many. There's a Wikipedia page, and I think it's titled something along the lines of statues torn down during the George Floyd protests. And the list, there must be about 300 statues on this list, and I did not realise that many got pulled down. But I think it was a great act of unity. Loads of people were arrested and things like that. But I think that, I don't know, I think maybe the Edward Colson one, because it was the first one to happen in Britain, I think it was sort of like, I don't know, it seemed good, it seemed cool. And then Elon Musk had his baby.
Yes.
Oh, Archangel.
Yeah, I don't know what the next thing is.
Ash.
X-Ash
A12.
X-Ash A12.
They had to change the name though, didn't they?
Which is meant to be Archangel. It's the name of a plane or something, isn't it?
Yeah. And the Ash thing is Elven for something or other. Yeah, it's absolutely mad. But recently he's changed the spelling of it because you can't have numbers.
I literally said he had to change the spelling, didn't he? Yeah. Then you just make it like Roman numerals.
Yeah, so it's XII at the end. Which is still absolutely mad.
That's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And who's his missus? Is it Grimes? Is that
Grimes? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's in with her and her age and stuff, and his age. I think it's just a massive publicity thing, really.
I'm pretty sure
people, they're all stupid.
I'm pretty sure she got it wrong though. You know her initial tweet where she was like, "Ash is this, A12 is this." I swear she got the plane thing wrong, and he was like, "Not quite right."
It was, and then someone recently asked Elon in an interview. It was just like I'm gonna say car park. It wasn't a car park. But Elon was walking through, and there was reporters, and someone said, "Oh, how is X-A12 or something?" Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And he went, "Sorry, beg your pardon." It was like, and they said it again, and he sort of just looked, and they're like, "Your baby?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he's doing fine." Like,
Oh, the man's from another planet, I swear.
yeah, but that made me also believe that he's probably called it like Tom, but he said to the world that it's Ashay 12, thinking that like, you know,
it's just a massive wind-up.
Yeah, because it's something that Elon would do. Like the year before, I watched this program last night about the that school trip that got caught down in those caves. Do you remember that? And the
in
caves
Thailand.
In Thailand, and the caves filled up with water during a monsoon, and they got stuck there.
For
a few days.
Yeah.
And the divers had to go down. It took like 5 hours to get to this like football team, and I didn't know this till last night. They got them unconscious. They injected them. So then they could take them out of the thing, and then they'd have to find a new spot every hour to inject them again to take them out. It was absolutely mad. But Elon wanted to make this sort of like submarine to go and get these kids. And then when they said, sorry, it's like the thing's too big, this is the best idea, he called one of them a paedophile over Twitter, and then got taken to court. And he got charged like 40 grand or something, and Elon was like, yeah, fine. What's that? It's like a penny to him.
Yeah. I lost a lot of respect for Elon during that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I did.
And then, his tweets recently as well, he just seems like a massive prick, to be honest with you. I used to really like Elon Musk, but, I don't think...
Yeah, so did I, but he, not a big fan of him at all now. In June, I just wrote we went to Dex because it was a big thing for Fair Dex, and it's first outing.
For the world.
Yeah, for the world. Yeah. In July, there was Naya Rivera, was that a name from Glee?
Who died in the lake.
Yes.
When was that?
What do you think about that? July.
That was like a week ago.
The heartbreaking thing about that was that they found, was it his daughter or son, in the boat, still. And the fact that that child saw her mum die because she rescued her daughter, and I think that's incredibly sad. And I think it was a year to the day in which another Glee cast member died, which is a pretty crazy coincidence. I also wrote that Ghislaine Maxwell she was arrested in July as well, which after months of being in hiding and people trying to look for her, following on from the Jeffrey Epstein thing. But she's now in prison and stuff.
Did you know that she looks exactly like a suspect drawing from the Maddie McCann case?
I didn't, but I know what you're drawing on about, and it does look like that.
It looks exactly like her, side to side. It looks exactly like Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's a very good point. I think it's very interesting. I think that hopefully she'll take other people down with her and stuff like that. I think it's very interesting. There was a photo that CNN put on a little while ago. Was it CNN? Fox? I think it's probably Fox because that's Trump's network. There was a photo of Trump and Melania standing next to each other, and there was sort of like an arm in the edge of the photo, but you couldn't see who it was. It was just a photo of them two, yeah. And then someone tweeted the actual photo where they'd zoomed out, and it was Trump standing next to Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. It was like, publish the truth then, why don't you? Because it was interesting. In August, this seems... Well, I don't know when this seems. I mean, there's been 18 months this year. That's what it feels like. In August, the Beirut explosion.
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And I remember...
That was in August.
We spoke about that.
Yeah, we spoke about that. And that wow, that was probably the last time we were all together in the Guzzler studio. Seems a long while ago, doesn't it? Actually, we'll mention as well in July, obviously. Was it July? We made Guzzler as well, which was... for a recap, that's quite an important thing for us. We made the Guzzler podcast. And when we first made it, we didn't know... We felt that we couldn't make it because... we sort of still...
Social distancing and all that sort of shit.
And we recorded it quite earlier, and then we put it out more so when it was getting a bit more relaxed because we felt like that was more acceptable. But we've done this every week. Well,
I like how we were worried someone was going to mention it to us. Like anyone was watching or cared.
About 6 views, yeah. But that was quite a big thing, and we did speak about the Beirut thing. 204 people died, and there's now 300,000 people homeless after that.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Obviously, everyone's seen the thing where it's sort of explodes a little bit, and you're like, oh, that's pretty mental. And then the whole thing just and then it all goes, which is mad. But one of my favourite videos was of the wedding that was down the road. Well, I say down the road, quite far away, because when the explosion goes, they all get wiped out, don't they?
One of your favourite videos?
I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, like of the thing, it really shows that how far that went.
That it could be heard 150 miles away.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
In a different country.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I also definitely will say that the wedding video. When I say they were wiped out, they didn't die. They just they were pushed to the side by the force of it. But yeah, in August, Chadwick Boseman died as well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When I woke up that morning, that was well, no one was expecting it. It was incredibly sad. Recently, I've got Bob Iger's book, who was the CEO of Disney until January this year, and obviously Disney would have known about Chadwick and his illness and everything like that. But the last photo in Bob Iger's book, which came out about 18 months ago, is a photo of him and Chadwick, and it was just quite a random photo. And I thought maybe that was like a sort of ode to him. Maybe, don't know. But recently, we've also spoke about obviously Marvel and everything, and how we think he's going to be replacing Black Panther by
Tisha Wright.
Yes. Which opinions on that? What do you think?
I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
I feel like I trust Marvel now. I'm not really worried about anything, to be honest.
Yeah, no. True. In October, this was a mental story, and I hadn't heard this until the other day, that Kanye West brought Kim Kardashian for her birthday a hologram of her dad.
Yeah.
Have you seen this, Declan?
No.
No, I hadn't until the other day either.
On Big Fat Quiz?
A 3D hologram. Yeah, it was on Big Fat Quiz, yeah. He brought her a hologram of her dad, because obviously her dad passed away. A 3D
he was
hologram.
O.J. Simpson's lawyer. He
was, yeah. He didn't mention that in the speech. There was a full-on speech in this hologram, but it was absolutely crazy. But he finishes off the speech with, and I quote, "You married the most genius man in the world," which is, well, I just think like when Kanye made this, thinking this is going to be a great present, and Kim was obviously, how weird it was, but Kim was obviously very appreciative of it, thinking that's a lovely thing. But just, I love the fact that Kanye set out to put something about himself in there at the end.
Of course he did. He's Kanye West.
Yeah.
So something else I saw yesterday. What's the other sisters? Chloe and what's the other one? Courtney. Courtney announced that she was autosexual.
She's what?
Autosexual, so she gets turned on by herself.
I honestly thought you were going to say cars.
Yeah. That's the most Kardashian thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough.
Alfie is also the same. Also in October we had... Did you see this? Vin Diesel released a song?
No.
It was like... I'm sure he did it with a DJ, like Cigar or... Was it a Cigar? I'm not sure, but it was weird, to say the least. It was weird. After you finish recording this, go check out Vin Diesel's song. All the comments were like, this is great. Wasn't great. It was just weird to hear Vin Diesel singing. Really weird.
I can't imagine him singing.
No, I couldn't. It's really strange. Also, I think they said that it was like possibly there was life on Mars. Is that right, Alfie?
They found water, didn't they?
Yeah, they did find water.
The thing is,
I thought they found like some organisms or something.
We spoke about this, right? When NASA did like breaking news. Did you see that?
Yes.
And they were like, NASA were like, we've got a big announcement coming next week. I was like, just tell it. What are you teasing us for? You're not fucking. It's not a film. And also, what else were they gonna say? What could
the only thing that they would have said something like an asteroid's going to crash into us in like 25 minutes. That's the only thing it could have been worth.
Yeah, but you wouldn't announce that next week, would you? We've got an announcement coming next Tuesday. Oh, by the way, you've got 10 minutes to live.
Yeah, because if not, there'd be like riots. There's like think like we're going to announce this. It's all going to be peaceful.
Nice.
There's just some man with a telescope just somewhere, and he's going, "There's a big old rock coming to Earth," and NASA were like, "Nah."
Next Tuesday, you wait for the announcement, mate.
Yeah. And because you said a minute ago about Borat, you like the new Borat film. Have you seen the new Borat film, Alfie?
No.
It's good. There's a scene in there which made the news quite a lot. Was when Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Was taken into the bedroom by the 15-year-old girl. I mean, come on. That's absolutely mental that was there. And then he came out about it and said that it was like fake news. Like, well, there's a video of you doing it.
Fake
He was
news.
like, I just had an itch. Like, no, you didn't.
Did you see Sacha Baron Cohen, and I can't pronounce her name, being interviewed on Good Morning America afterwards?
No, I didn't.
Because the people I don't know who presents it, but they were asking, is the clip doctored in any way, like contextually? Have you cropped out something either side from it that makes it seem worse than it is? And Sacha Baron Cohen just went, no, this literally exactly what happened. And then they asked her, were you scared at all? And she was like, if I didn't know that I was being filmed and there was people like in the next room, because Sacha Baron Cohen was like almost in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, nah, this is not good. But I knew that there was someone around that could help me.
It's crazy news, absolutely crazy. In November, Trump said he was going to ban TikTok. He forgot, obviously, because the day came when TikTok was still about.
Yeah.
Do you know who was voted the sexiest man alive this year?
Was it me? Or was that last year?
Lewis Capaldi.
It was between Alfie, Lewis Capaldi, and someone else. Actually,
We're very similar looking men.
It was Michael B. Jordan.
Oh yeah, he's pretty hot.
He's real. Obama released a 768-page memoir.
I thought you were going to say Obama was second.
No. Alfie was second. Third, Lewis Capaldi.
Right.
No,
I always make top
768-page
three.
memoir. I really wanted to read it, and then I saw how many pages it was, and I was like, there's no chance I would have picked that up. So, didn't. Trump was obviously voted out. That was a big thing for about a week. I felt like it was a bit of hope for the whole world when that was sort of happening. And I got up on that morning when it was supposed to be announced, and I was just like, I was at work, just kept checking it over and over, because I think the idea of Biden coming in was just going to be like a breath of fresh air for the world. I remember I think it was on the Sunday or the Saturday, a couple of days later, when he finally got it, and it was just like, we just put the news on, everyone was like in America beeping their car horns, and everyone was like really happy, and it was sort of just like a breath of fresh air, like I said, breath of fresh air, not just for America, but I think for the world, sort of like, because the President of America definitely affects the whole world. They're the most powerful person in the world. And, yeah, Trump does a lot of things that we hear, well, everything he does we hear over here is mental.
So
Biden doing something is great.
On Twitter yesterday, we're recording this on the 29th, so on the 28th, the words breaking news were trending on Twitter. And when I clicked on it, it was Trump that had tweeted, and it just said breaking news, something like 250,000 more votes than people in Minnesota or whatever, which ties the election in my favour. I won.
Right.
So how can there be, right?
Yeah.
In excess of 200,000 more votes than people. How many times were people voting?
But
yeah, it's true.
Is that true though, or is that
No, they fact-checked it. It literally had the Twitter fact-check at the bottom saying this tweet contains false information.
Yeah,
like, even Twitter's doing him dirty.
He's just... He has said now that he's going to leave the White House in, like, what is it, like 23 days or something like that. But everyone thought, obviously, the army was going to have to go in.
But they recently said the White House is stopping them from, like, setting up and stuff, aren't they? They're slowing down the transition. So, like, he said he'll leave, but, like, apparently the White House aren't letting Biden's team do the stuff that they're meant to do before he goes in.
Oh.
Apparently that's still a big problem.
He's being a bit of a baby about it. But he could have just said, I'm not leaving.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people thought that he was going to press the red button, like, before he left, because it just caused havoc. He's pardoned, like, just loads of criminals and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
He's doing whatever he wants. Because he knows that within, like... Yeah, that as soon as he leaves the White House, that he's going to go to court and things.
He executed a lot as well, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
that were on death row.
Yeah, but he's gonna. Well, things are going to happen to him it's going to be.
I'm surprised he hasn't started the purge yet. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if today he goes on January 31st at midnight. A siren will go off.
It's because he had a lot of like outstanding court things before he went in, and all the things he's done in office as well. Because he won't have that protection when he's left. I think it's going to be very interesting next year, I'll say. And that's what I've got. That is my recap. Done, really.
It wasn't that much.
It wasn't that much. It was just a lot of like mad things.
Yeah.
A lot of I think maybe if it was just a normal year, we probably wouldn't pay attention to a lot of that. But maybe because it was just so crazy. That's why it was.
You still haven't asked
let's hope the next year.
Top songs TV film. You did TV. Did you? No, you did film.
Oh yeah. So done film. Yeah. What's your what's your favourite TV show from the year?
Don't know, mate. Move on. No, I enjoyed The Boys.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Boys yet.
The Boys was really good.
Yeah, someone else has said that about. Mine was Normal People.
I also really liked The Good Place. I thought it ended really well.
Okay, yeah, fine.
I thought the finale was really good.
Well, I've watched a lot of things, like old things, really. I enjoyed the Dennis Nilsson show. I enjoyed the program called Quiz about the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen Quiz.
It's good. It's very good. I enjoyed
something.
Tiger King. I haven't watched a lot of new things. I watched like once, but once came out. Like,
this is the problem when I was like with film. I was like, I've seen quite a few films this year, but nothing that came out this year.
New. Yeah.
One thing that I have recently watched, and it's only just come out on Amazon Prime, is Upload.
I've heard about that.
Anything about it? Right, so it's about a man who's about to die, and he has an option to either go into surgery and potentially save his life, or they upload his consciousness to a VR world that's like heaven.
Right.
And it's very, although it's like a comedy and a comedy drama, it's very philosophical in the things that happen because the heaven is privatized by AT&T. Right. And you have to buy certain aspects of it. Like you can buy a dog, but all the things in it are actual people on headsets that talk to the dead people in the show.
That's very cool.
So like there's a therapist that is a dog and you can go and talk to your dog. It's well worth a watch.
That is cool. What's your favourite song then of the year? Did I ask that one to you?
You did.
Do you have a favourite
song? I've written down quite a few.
Go on.
So at the moment, I'm in love with that with Pale Wade's new song, "She's My Religion."
Yeah.
I think that's a banger.
Very good.
And then songs that I just liked. Pretty much, to be fair, most of this is just albums I really liked, and I struggled to pick my favourite song. So like "Unperson" from Nothing But Thieves' new album, but the whole album was sick. "Sugar on the Rim" from Hayley Williams' album. "Money Is God" from King Charles' album. And then 1975. I think my favourite at the moment is "Frail State of Mind." To be honest, I don't know why. Because when we first listened to that, Louis, when we were at your house, it was like we didn't think it was that good.
No, I was like, how can they release this as a single? This isn't a single.
But like,
this is.
I'm in love with it now.
It is, yeah.
And then "Level of Concern" was really good as well. I like that song.
Level of Concern is very good by 21 Pilots. That was a sort of a big part of.
That's like a proper lockdown song, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of things up in lockdown as well, which was like they done the One World Together and stuff like that, where they released "Times Like These," the Foo Fighters song, where loads of people were singing it and stuff like that. And Zoom was another big part of lockdown. We had a Zoom thing, like most weeks and stuff.
I still use Zoom all the time for uni.
Stuff. Yeah, we that was all big things. So, what was your favourite song,
Declan? Obviously, 75 did all theirs. I didn't really listen to specific songs, more enjoyed artists. So I listened to a lot of JP Sachs. I kind of fell in love with him. He's a wonderful lyricist. 1975, James Bay brought out his small little EP, and I adore that man. So that was another big thing. But there wasn't really anything specific. My mood has been very different all year, and it's just been a bit all over the shop.
I'll say that Yeah, the 75, Too Shy, I think.
Too Shy is a banger.
Too Shy. Yeah, like you said, I think Money Is God was a great song as well. I really like Power Waves, not their brand new song, their song before that one. I can't remember.
Change. I don't really like that one that much. I think it's alright.
I did like that one. The Taylor Swift's Folklore and Evermore album, I absolutely adore both of those. Love them. And I really enjoyed both Machine Gun Kelly's new album. I was never a fan of him.
I hate Machine Gun Kelly's new music.
I still don't like Machine Gun Kelly, but I do like his new album, and I like Youngblood's new album. Is very, very good.
Yeah, I like Youngblood.
Very, very good. I never used to care for Young Believer, but I really, really like his new album. His song Weird, Strawberry, Lipstick as well, and Cotton Candy, all very good songs. Yeah. Next year then, let's hope it's not as disastrous as this one. Hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel for us all next year. We're supposed to go in Reading in August. If I'm at Reading Festival in August, I'll be satisfied.
Good year.
You'll make up for it all. Yeah. Well, there we go. I hope that everyone who's listening to this has had, hopefully not a disastrous. I mean, we've all had a disastrous year, but hopefully that you're still all okay.
What are we doing next week?
At the very least. Next week.
Are we doing conspiracies
so we're going
too?
to go back round in it. We could do conspiracies too.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I really want to do conspiracies too when we're all together in the same room on camera. But that might be November next year.
That's my worry.
Yeah. Well, it'll be one of you two leading. Who wants to go?
I don't care.
Any takers?
Oh, Alfie.
Go on then, Alfie.
All right.
We'll go around in our circle again as we always do. So Alfie will be starting next week. And then we won't have a extra this Friday simply because it's New Year's Day. But we'll probably have an extra the following Friday.
Maybe.
Just don't know what yet.
And I'll be back at uni with my actual microphone, so hopefully the quality... Yes. And you've got a new microphone, don't you? So the quality should be going up, boys.
Yes, hopefully so. So thank you very much for listening to this. There's no point talking about alcohol or the drinks because we've all had coffee and Baileys.
That's nice,
Baileys, Alfie?
Yeah, lovely.
Nice. That was very nice. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Have a happy new year. Staying at home in lockdown. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Guzzler podcast.